4. I want to talk to you today about the downward effects or downward spirals of a relationship. So many times we've all been through bad relationships, whether personal relationships, business relationships, financial relationships. We're going to talk about that as well. But here's the thing I want to talk about. Think about what happened in a personal relationship that went bad. If you go back and see the dynamics of the downward spiral, you can start identifying some of the things that can help you in future relationships. So many times I hear people say, I keep attracting this type of individual in my life. Well, first of all, it's us, because we're like a magnet. So we attract who we are, not what we want or what we desire. So if a person says, look, I always get this bad guy, I always get this bad type of girl, then it's something within us that is that downward spiral. So think of the most two common downward spirals will either be a tornado or a whirlwind, so a whirlpool. So with the whirlpool, if you look at a bathtub, you get the water, it's spiraling down, then ultimately it diminishes down the drain. Same thing with the tornado. It starts in the cloud and then it works its way down to the ground, and then that's when the destruction really starts. So a lot of times, if you study tornadoes, for an example, I'm very intrigued by tornadoes. A lot of times they'll come down, they'll start going in a different direction, and then they'll swoop back up. And then one can come over here and come straight down effortlessly. So I say that to say that we have to identify what the causes are. So if you understand tornadoes are a mixture of hot air and cold air. And when they come together, that's what creates the cyclonic effect of a tornado. You guys know I knew that kind of knowledge, did you? But listen, so the same thing as we start looking at our relationship with money, just like a relationship with a person, if you start abusing that person, you start mistreating that person, you start verbal abusing that person, more or less start physically abusing that person is going to first pull back and shy away from you, because it's like, I can't believe this is this person. Then ultimately they're going to leave, they're going to run. So the same thing with money. If you mistreat money, you abuse money, you're not a good steward of money, money will first start pulling back, because there's a thing called the law of money. There's laws to it. So it'll first of all pull back and give you an opportunity to self-adjust or self-correct. But then if you continue being a bad steward of money, you continue abusing money, then money will ultimately leave your life and it will flee from you. So it's like if you ever chased a cat or a rabbit, the more you run at it, the more it's going to run away from you. So the same thing with money. So once you understand these laws, we can now start to fix them. So again, go back to the physical relationship, a personal relationship. If that person starts moving away from you and then that relationship subsequently dissolve, you got to go back and you got to identify, where did it start going wrong? What was happening? It seemed right in the beginning. When I was opening the doors, I was dating, I was doing this, but then it all of a sudden shifted. You got to be able to find where that shift was and then identify what each one of those steps were. Same thing with money. You have to start identifying and be like, man, just 2 years ago I had money. I had discretionary income. I could do the cool things I wanted to do, but then all of a sudden things changed. And now a person said they can't do this anymore. They can no longer afford the car that they wanted. They can no longer do the travel trips that they had in the past. So what we have to do is we got to go back and identify what happened. When money started getting scarce or your money got funny, then you got to identify the predecessor events that happened before that. So if you identify a money problem now, the problem probably started 3 to 6 months prior, if not further back. So you got to be able to identify that. What did I change differently? Did I stop garnering and taking care of my core client? Did I get used to them? Did I get complacent? And then over the next 3 to 6 months, it manifested in them not supporting my business or buying my product or my service. So the same thing in relationship. Did I stop opening doors? Did I stop making compliments 3 months ago and now it's starting to manifest now? So that's the same thing we have to do with our money. You got to be able to identify. So reflect on what works, and you also got to reflect on what didn't work. So as we talked about having a downward spiral, now you have to have a upward spiral where you can overlay these two templates on top of each other. and then you can really start seeing the contrast between the two. So just like we got that downward spiral, now we got to get the upward spiral, figure out what things are working, and they'll cross-reference each other, and then you can determine these are the things I need to adjust so we don't have the downward spirals anymore. So in building our relationships, we got to make sure that we continue doing temperature checks. Think about it. Every time you go to the doctor, the first thing they do is open your mouth, pop a thermometer in just to see the temperature. You got to know where you're at. See, the thermometer tells what the temperature is. The thermostat controls the temperature. So once we know what the temperature is, we can adjust the thermostat so that we can have synergy between the two. So as we're closing out 2023, we only have just days left pretty much now left in the year. I know a lot of people are starting their holiday schedule, so many people are kind of in slow motion mode when it comes to their business. But to go into 2024, you want to go into it with momentum. More importantly, momentum means having built up energy. So it's like 211 degrees, you got some pretty warm water, but it's not until you go up one more degree, that 212 degrees, when you hit the boiling point. Once you hit the boiling point, now things are really cooking, literally. So in that regard, if you are in a position where you want to have a different 2024, have a new year instead of just a next year, because so many people always talk about, man, it's a new year. Is it really? Is it any different from your previous years? If it's the same, you got to do something different. Tara and I are opening up a few slots going into the first quarter, Q1 of 2024, to bring on a couple clients who want to move the needle financially in their family space, creating legacy wealth for themselves, to be able to have wealth management. See, in our positions at jobs, we have management. When was the last time you managed your wealth, managed your finances? If you're in a position where you don't quite know how to do it, let's connect. Let's have that phone call. Look down in the comments. I put a link in there where you can get some time on Tara and I's calendar, have a 15-minute phone call, and just kind of see where you are, where you want to go, and what the transformation period in the middle would be necessary to achieve that goal. All right, guys, I am Dr. Sean J. Harris. Make impact and make money while you're doing it.